Tonight in 9 News, Hollywood hit. Will Smith stuns the world by getting violent at the Oscars in defence of his wife. Premier Daniel Andrews struck down with COVID. Students forced inside as Melbourne chokes under a blanket of burn-off smoke haze. The federal government spends billions to ease the cost of living, but Victoria says it's been dudded again. Special investigation, the new tool to combat the vaping crisis sweeping our schools. And You Buddy Beauty, a Swans fan returns his precious ball.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Peter Hitchener.
Good evening. Will Smith has hijacked the Academy Awards with an act of violence that's been widely condemned. He stormed the stage to slap comedian Chris Rock after an ill-timed joke about his wife, then moments later returned to tearily accept the Oscar for Best Actor. Alison Petrowski has the latest from Hollywood.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? Uh-oh.
The awards are for acting, but this moment was real.
Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'm going to, okay?
The two men have a history of trading barbs. This gag referring to Demi Moore's look in the 1997 movie. Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, has a medical condition, alopecia, and the bald joke, a step too far. In the commercial break, Smith was comforted by Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry, wiping away tears before returning to his seat. The episode overshadowing the very moment Smith had waited his entire career for.
And the Oscar goes to...
Will Smith!
Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
Capturing the Best Actor award for his portrayal of Venus and Serena's father in King Richard, the Hollywood legend doubled down.
Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. You got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay.
The tennis stars showing their support in the crowd.
Art imitates life. I look like the crazy father, just like they said.
And because this is Hollywood, the show carried on.
Ugh, I've been getting out of that Spider-Man costume. Did I miss anything? There's like a different vibe in here.
Well, what an evening. Will Smith said it all. Let's have peace and love and quiet.
No apology for Chris Rock, but a plea for forgiveness.
Thank you for this honor. Hope the Academy invites me back. Thank you.
Another unscripted moment for the Oscars history books. In Hollywood, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
After more than 2 years leading Victoria's fight against COVID, Premier Daniel Andrews has tested positive. As Heidi Murphy reports, he's now forced to spend the next 7 days isolating at home.
It was the biggest red carpet event of the year so far. Premier Daniel Andrews front and centre alongside wife Kath and a number of famous faces. Just 4 days later, COVID has finally caught up with the Premier.
I send my best wishes sincerely and personally to him.
The Premier breaking the news in a late morning statement, explaining he took a rapid antigen test after waking with a sore throat and a mild temperature, the test positive to COVID-19. He posted on social media too, explaining wife Kath and the kids are negative and will isolate as close contacts, saying too his symptoms are mild and he's well stocked on Panadol.
We may disagree politically, but I certainly don't wish him badly in any way.
Well wishes from foes and colleagues alike.
I've sent him a message wishing him all the best and hoping he gets well soon.
The positive test follows a busy end to last week for the Premier. Thursday morning he unveiled a statue before an opening night at the theatre with his family and a packed house. Friday, a day around his electorate, shaking hands and patting dogs at a couple of primary schools in Springvale and Mulgrave, a local library opening and a new kinder centre.
I think we've seen, like so many Victorians do, ask that question, where did I pick it up from? Stay home, rest up, get well, and I'm sure he'll return back to work full of energy.
And Heidi, the timing of the Premier's positive result is far from ideal.
Well, that's right, Pete. It means that the Premier will be unable to attend the state memorial for Shane Warne at the MCG on Wednesday night. He'll also be unable to front Victoria's response to the federal budget that comes down tomorrow night. All those duties will fall to his deputy, James Merlino, the acting Premier once again for the next 7 days.
Heidi Murphy, thanks for that report. Cheaper petrol, cash handouts and more support for struggling first home buyers. Billions as well for infrastructure projects. Tomorrow's budget is aimed at easing cost of living pain for families and getting the Morrison government re-elected. Here's Chris Uhlmann.
Some things are more complicated than they look. Scott Morrison has to navigate tomorrow's budget and call an election within a fortnight. Trailing badly in the polls, today he was spruiking a nationwide $18 billion spend on building road and rail.
We are building a stronger Australia, airport by airport, road by road, rail by rail, port by port.
Scott Morrison made a detour on the way to Canberra using Western Sydney's budding airport as a backdrop for his big spending building plans.
Is the strategy simply to buy votes?
This budget is about addressing the cost of living pressures being faced by Australian families.
With petrol prices soaring over $2 a litre, the budget will include a tax cut at the Bowser. The Commonwealth imposes a levy of 44 cents on every litre of petrol. The tax is indexed to rise twice a year and raises $18 billion in revenue, much of which is spent on roads. If the excise was halved, that would save motorists over $13 when filling a 60-litre tank. Any cut would be temporary and there's no word on how big it will be, but the Prime Minister is talking it up.
The budget on Tuesday night that the Treasurer will hand down will provide that immediate relief.
Experts warn that it won't end price fluctuations.
You've got to remember you can't solve the impact of a war in Europe with a tax cut in Australia.
And road users might lose in the long run.
If we create a gap in our budget here in Australia, that means that there is less of the excise available to fix roads.
Petrol isn't the only target. The government will give cash handouts to low and middle income earners and is boosting a first home buyers scheme by 50,000 places a year.
And this is one of the major issues when it comes to addressing cost of living pressures.
Labor backs the cut to petrol excise but wants to shift the focus of the economic debate.
The big issue that you won't hear from this government is the issue of wages.
And notes this budget is being delivered in the shadow of an election.
This is a budget that is all about politics and not about plans.
The budget will project unemployment falling below 4%, and it hasn't been that low since 1974. And the Coalition will hope that this economic blueprint will keep it employed in government for another 3 years. Chris Uhlmann, 9 News.
The budget has shortchanged Victoria, according to our Infrastructure Minister. Jacinta Allen is demanding the Commonwealth stump up for the suburban rail loop after making the same freight announcement it made last year. State political reporter Mark Santomartino.
Building on his father's legacy, Jeff Smith has opened a 7th freight terminal in Altona as the government plans 2 of its own.
It's a little bit of a pill to swallow. We've done the hard yards in investing.
The state wants an intermodal hub out west, but a treasurer determined to leverage existing rail lines further north is tipping $3 billion in for both.
2/3 of that money was announced last year.
The money makes up most of the $3.3 billion heading Victoria's way for infrastructure. New South Wales is getting the same, but Queensland is in for almost $4 billion, a gap that doesn't make sense to Jacinta Allen.
Come on, we're getting shortchanged on the GST, we're getting shortchanged on infrastructure funding.
Jacinta Allen has blown out major projects in Victoria to the tune of $24 billion. Now she's demanding more money.
Matthew Guy accusing the Minister of playing politics while playing a little of his own.
Grow up focus on your job, get on with it, manage projects within their budget.
We were simply standing up for Victoria. I think that speaks volumes to the Victorian communities about his priorities and how he doesn't stand with them.
Of the $38 billion being spent on the Metro Tunnel, North East Link and Westgate Tunnel, the Commonwealth has chipped in fewer than 5%. Neither side of politics has committed to helping Victoria build the suburban rail loop, with Phase 1 alone set to cost the state somewhere between $30 and $35 billion.
If we were any other state, we'd be getting 50%.
Mark Santomartino, 9 News.
Melbourne has coughed and spluttered under a cloak of smoke haze, with some suburbs recording worse air quality than cities in India and Bangladesh. 23 planned burns since Friday will continue, sparking health warnings to stay indoors. More from Penelope Leash.
Waking up to a smoky glow, the haze rising through the suburbs, dragging air quality down with it. A side effect of hazard reduction burns across the state. A 168-hectare burn at Healesville, just one of 23 since Friday.
The work that we do with planned burning is a much better outcome than seeing the heavy smoke from bushfires.
As the smoke set in, Mooroolbark's air quality was listed as very unhealthy, with a reading of 241, significantly worse than cities like Delhi in India and Dhaka in Bangladesh. Other suburbs with unhealthy air qualities included Dandenong, Box Hill, Sandhurst, Chadstone and Balwyn. At JJ McMahon Kinder in Kew, it prompted an indoor play day.
Because you smoke. I smelled fire when I woke up.
Teachers and students doing their best to breathe clean air.
The likelihood of an asthmatic child having an attack is quite high.
Poor air quality is most likely to affect those with breathing or heart conditions, as well as children and older adults. But anyone can develop symptoms like shortness of breath and coughing.
Stay indoors with your windows closed, and on particularly smoky days, definitely no vigorous exercise outdoors.
A wind change helped clear smoke over the city by mid-afternoon, but we're likely to see more planned burns throughout April. Bad news for some.
Tell me where you like playing most, inside or outside?
Outside.
Penelope Leash, 9 News.
Ukraine is willing to compromise over the status of the eastern Donbas region as part of a peace deal, President Zelensky has told Russian journalists. In a video call that the Kremlin preemptively warned Russian media not to report, he said he was also willing for Ukraine to become neutral, a key Russian demand.
Security, guarantees and neutrality, the nuclear-free status of our state. We are ready for it. This is the most important point. It was the first and principal point for the Russian Federation, as far as I recall.
Zelensky said a deal would have to be guaranteed by third parties and put to a referendum. Europe correspondent Kari-Anne Greenbank is in the Ukrainian city Lviv. Kari, President Zelensky has since changed his tone on the negotiations.
Well, he has, Pete. He has since said that territorial integrity is key as these new peace talks get underway in Turkey today. Ukraine's intelligence chief now saying he believes Russia is trying to split the country in two, like a North and South Korea. Now, overnight, air raid sirens were heard in virtually every region of Ukraine as extraordinary footage emerged of that attack here at the fuel depot in Lviv, with new reports emerging of another attack at an oil depot in the north of the country. And amid all this danger, two Melbourne mates have pulled off an impressive rescue. They've helped a busload of families escape the besieged city of Mariupol for the safety of Poland.
A journey from hell almost at its end. These families arriving in Lviv from the razed city of Mariupol, where they dodged Russian gunshots and shelling to escape through a humanitarian corridor. The latest rescue mission of Australian mates Daniel Russell and Roger Scott. The friends now hearing haunting tales of survival amid so much death. 17-year-old Anton was standing outside the Mariupol Drama Theatre when it was bombed, killing at least 300.
I saw a plane flying overhead, he said. It dropped a bomb. There were dead bodies on the street. This is genocide. Larissa believes her mother and sister were inside. She says she hasn't been able to contact them since.
It's gut-wrenching. It really is. It puts shivers down your spine.
Daniel and Roger are now providing food, shelter and a bus trip to safety, all of which is life-changing for Marina, who spent the past month living in a bunker with her handicapped mother, running out of food in the decimated city. She tells us her friends resorted to eating pigeons and dogs.
How dangerous was it for you to escape?
It was extremely dangerous, she says. The Russians tried every single possible weapon on us. No one knows the true civilian death toll in the city, but it's at least 2,500 according to local authorities. This journey and many like it, saving lives, and it's thanks in part to Australian donations.
Out of control. It's next level networking, Facebook groups, friends that are helping out left, right and centre all around the world.
For some of these families, it's taken them up to a week to get here from Mariupol, navigating countless checkpoints. Now there's one more roughly 7-hour journey to go to get to the safety of Warsaw. But while some are more than happy to leave, this girl saying, I'm very glad, it's harder for others.
I would say their mood maybe drops a little bit when they leave Ukraine, because Ukraine's their home. Like, they don't want to leave.
Nikolai and his wife Olga were forced to abandon their farm and run with nothing but their documents and pet dog, while Russian soldiers were firing after them. They walked all over us and wiped their feet on us, he says. Putin is a killer. Finally, they're free from danger, but not from the memories. In Lviv, Ukraine, Karianne Greenbank, 9 News.
Well, the ball that triggered one of the biggest crowd invasions in Australian sport is now safely back in the hands of Buddy Franklin. Swans diehard Alex Wheeler took the Sherrin after Buddy kicked his 1,000th goal, but as Tony Jones explains, it was no finders keepers.
A little less chaotic than last Friday night, Buddy Franklin was back at the SCG and doing what he does best, getting his hands on the ball.
This is the ball, mate, so happy to give it back, and so excited that it's going back to Buddy in the club. So
really appreciate that.
There you go, mate, awesome.
Alex Wheeler had positioned himself behind the big sticks when Buddy set sail with goal number 1,000. And as the crowd invaded the turf, Alex was falling over himself to get the ball.
Just unbelievable that I had the chance to have a crack at it, and it just landed in the paw, and the rest is history.
For the second time that night, the Sherrin was the catalyst for a celebration.
We went out to one of the pubs locally for a little while, and I just got too paranoid that someone was going to knock the footy off from my house, so I went home pretty early and cuddled it up to bed, and yeah, that was it really.
And although figures of $200,000 were being bandied about, cashing in on the ball just wasn't Alex's game plan.
It was, always my intention to get it back to the Swans and to Buddy, so it's going to be no good to me. I don't have a pool room to put it up in, unfortunately.
When American Byron Kennedy snaffled the ball Tom Brady launched for 600 touchdown passes, he returned it and in exchange was given merchandise, memberships and tens of thousands of dollars in cryptocurrency. Alex Wheeler was today given similar, except for the cryptocurrency. But that was the least of his concerns on Friday night as he scurried from the SCG in search of a taxi home.
Oh no, I'm in deep trouble. I'm very vulnerable and exposed here. So yeah, it was lucky that I got into that third cab, and the guy said to me, mate, you're only around the corner, because I live in Queen's Park. And anyways, mate, I said, just tonight I think I might get the cab.
For Buddy, having the Sherrin back now completes what was a once-in-a-lifetime occasion.
Really special night, and to receive the ball back means the world to me.
Despite being mobbed, Buddy relished every moment of the mayhem.
I was lapping it up, to be honest with you. A little bit of carry on, but I think when I kicked the 100 goals in 2008, at that stage I was very young, and I thought if I ever got to the 1,000 goals, I'm really going to enjoy it.
The footy world can rest easy. Buddy's got his ball back, and Alex can get his life back.
I'm pretty over it, to be honest. It's been a big couple of days.
Tony Jones, 9 News.
Now Tony's here with a look ahead to more sport.
Thanks, Pete. Actually, we don't hear from Buddy all that often, so later in sport we will hear from Buddy as he opens up about premierships, about retirement. That's coming up later. Also tonight, Caroline Wilson joins us live. Now, Caro's got the latest on Dusty's future. Will he play again? The Magpies are soaring. Now they're really getting the band back together.
I've missed playing the last couple of games because the boys look really good, and Yeah, it's good to see, so I'm looking forward to coming back.
The young demon who could be football's next $1 million man. The Ferraris and Red Bulls in a fight to the finish, now for Melbourne. And you'll love this story, the blind basketballer who sent her school stadium into raptures. That's coming up later in Sport, Pete. Also, we're crossing live with some breaking news from the Bulldogs. One of their biggest stars is in doubt.
OK, thank you very much, Tony. Well, now ahead in 9 News, a first look at the incident that sparked the deadly shooting at Paran's Love Machine nightclub in 2019. Plus, the heart-stopping moment a woman was injured by a flying car. And full coverage of everything else that happened at the Oscars, including a winner from Melbourne. Security footage of the incident that sparked the deadly shooting at Paran's Love Machine nightclub in 2019 has been released publicly. But the man at the centre of the tragedy has told a jury he doesn't remember anything. Court reporter Eliza Rugg.
Underage and acting out, it took 4 security guards to escort Ali Magni from the Love Machine nightclub. The teenager was carried out of the venue on Little Chapel Street. He says the guards kicked him on the ground. Ali Magni called his father, Nabil Magni, who told his son to come to his apartment in the Docklands. Ali Magni also called his brother, Jacob Elliott, who is now on trial for murder, along with Alan Fares, an associate of the Magni family. The pair admits they opened fire on the crowd, but deny they intended to murder anyone. Security guard Aaron Osmani and patron Richard Arrow were both killed. Ali Magni says he can't recall what happened in the lead-up. "I'm not going to answer any more questions, Your Honour. I don't feel comfortable. I don't remember much, you know." He was captured on CCTV arriving at his father's home, along with another man, Musa Humka, who allegedly hid the murder weapon. Mr Humka was heard asking Nabil Magni, "Do you need anything?" "Yep," Mr Magni replied. The secret police recording then cut out. Nabil Magni was also investigated over the fatal shooting, but never charged. He died in 2020. Prosecutors have told the jury that long before the events of April 2019, there was an ongoing dispute between the Magni family and the security group at the Love Machine, but the supervisor in charge says that's not true. Joseph Hosry denied he had a problem with Nabil Magni. "I never spoke to him. I don't know who he is." Eliza Rugg, 9 News.
3 of the Labor Party's senior women have addressed allegations they bullied late Senator Kimberley Kitching. The 52-year-old was remembered in a teary parliamentary tribute after she suffered a suspected fatal heart attack. Mimi Becker with the story.
Taking to the Senate floor a united front from a party divided, all in memory of their colleague, Kimberley Kitching.
Much has been said and written in the days since Senator Kitching's passing. Many are hurting and many are grieving.
Senator Penny Wong leading the tributes while also addressing allegations of bullying by herself and fellow senior Labor women.
I will not return anger with anger or blame with blame.
As the late Senator's husband, Andrew Landrieu, watched from the gallery 1 week since she was laid to rest, Ms Kitching's favourite flower, a white rose, laying tribute to the woman some described as a warrior.
Those who used to use the grief caused by her death for purposes other than honouring her life and her work will find no friend in me.
Opposition leader Anthony Albanese has ruled out an inquiry despite mounting pressure from the government.
It is a great sadness and has affected all of us deeply.
Among the tributes, a blunt admission from across the political divide.
The concept of mean girls is not confined to one political party. It made me realise that all the stress associated with factional warfare is not worth the toll that it takes on health and family.
To honour her memory, Labor says it's looking ahead.
Securing a Labor government is the most fitting tribute to Kimberley's life and service to the Australian Labor Party.
Mimi Becker, 9 News.
This week, Lavinia's taking the weather on the road, and she joins us now from her first stop, wonderful Warburton. It's such a lovely place, isn't it, Lavinia?
Beautiful, Pete. Just 90 minutes away, 4 degrees warmer too today. The smoke haze cleared this afternoon, so we've been soaking up the sun at the beautiful Alpine Hotel. And I'm joined by the owner, Rachel Northwood. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Lavinia.
Now, Warburton is known as an adventure playground. This is a great base from which to explore.
Yes, look, Warden's got a lot to offer from the redwood forests. We've got the Yarra River, great for kids to go on the lilos, abseiling, caving, and of course the mountain bike rides and trail.
So beautiful in autumn, but really it's a place for all seasons.
Yes, well we've got Mount Donibuang in winter, and that's so close to Melbourne and free to toboggan, so great for families.
Wonderful, Rachel. Thank you so much. Pete, I'll be back with more on the weather a little later.
OK, thank you, Lavinia, and Rachel as well. Up next in 9 News, vaping crackdown, an exclusive look at the new technology catching school students. And climate protesters cause havoc with a warning there's more to come. Victorian schools are installing high-tech sensors to stop students from vaping. Disposable e-cigarettes are being sold illegally to children, with an increasing number becoming addicted to nicotine without realising. Neri Tai has this exclusive investigation.
It's the latest craze that has Australian kids hooked, and now vaping is seeping into schools.
There's just this smell of vape all the time, and it's just really gross.
Sacred Heart College in Geelong is one of many across the country now equipped with sensors to detect and deter kids from inhaling the harmful chemicals.
We suddenly really noticed it coming on site, and we want to keep our students safe.
Installed in the toilets, the alarms send an alert to teachers, and with the help of CCTV, they can identify which students are most at risk. Some teenagers picked up the habit as a way of dealing with lockdown, and now fellow students are having to watch their friends cope with an addiction.
They can't go probably an hour without vaping, and it's really disrupting their learning.
Puff bars or disposable vapes come in bright colours, appealing to children with fruity and dessert flavours.
It's incredibly sad to see some of the highly addictive behaviours that are developing in some children, even as young as primary school aged.
While touted as a healthier option for adults who want to quit smoking, minors are illegally buying them under the counter, some dealing them in the schoolyard.
This is the enemy. This is what's getting kids addicted, I think. It's too high, too concentrated.
Kids are purchasing products labelled as nicotine-free, but some are in fact laced with the highly addictive substance. A single pot of vape juice can be equivalent to a packet of cigarettes.
Significant risks to their lungs and their airways, and the development of things like attention, focus, emotional well-being.
While schools are doing what they can to deter vaping, there are calls for the product to be better regulated, like stricter laws around advertising and warning labels. While doctors want vapes in plainer packaging, parents should also discuss the dangers with their kids.
They're cheap, they're easy to get, and they're addicting a whole new generation of people.
Neri Tai, 9 News.
Serial protesters Extinction Rebellion have blockaded a fuel distribution depot, warning there's more to come. Greenpeace also took action, albeit restrained, in a contrasting day of climate activism. Adam Hegarty explains.
Extinction Rebellion alive and rebelling to their own rapturous applause. 3 activists locking themselves to cement barrels and blocking the entrance to ExxonMobil's Yarraville depot.
Global warming is killing us. It's going to keep killing us.
Their cries soon drowned out by the efforts of officers, a delicate operation to cut them free. Their arrests likely just the start. This, we're told, is just day one.
ExxonMobil climate criminals.
This is for our kids. All the way back.
You're a climate hero.
They're a different breed. Climate peers Greenpeace sharing the cause but not the method, conveying their message with an inflatable coal display at AGL's Docklands HQ.
AGL's dirty coal power is too big to hide.
The words just as scathing, though the demonstration far more concise, packed up in an hour. Campaigners conscious of not being a nuisance.
Because here's the problem for protesters, they are often and swiftly outnumbered by police, but as we know, it takes some time to remove them.
We respect Greenpeace and all the work they've done before Extinction Rebellion came along.
The warning, brace for more. Adam Hegarty, 9 News.
Next in Melbourne's 9 News, the unsuspecting elderly Hughesdale woman accused of running a drug empire. One person dead and another missing as a new flood emergency hits southeast Queensland. And a Melbourne cinematographer shines. The big winners as the glamour of the Oscars makes a return. An elderly woman accused of running a drugs empire with her daughter from their Hughesdale home could die in prison. Police allege they trafficked drugs via the dark web before posting them in the mail. Crime reporter Lana Murphy.
This mother and daughter share more than DNA, a home, holidays and, according to police, partnership in a lucrative family business. 78-year-old Sutsida Sananikon and daughter Mimi were today unmasked as the alleged masterminds behind a dark web drug racket.
As far as I'm concerned, they were good neighbours.
But police allege the pair pretended to run a herbal tea company from their Hughesdale home and instead packaged drugs including ice, ketamine and cocaine into Australia Post satchels, sending up to 50 parcels every few days. They were arrested last month while on their way back from the post office. Detectives allege they had a parcel with more than 1 kilogram of amphetamine inside. And at their property, commercial quantities of illicit substances were uncovered. More than $400,000 in cryptocurrency and a $65,000 Mercedes were also seized. But those who lived near the mother and daughter say, at least from the outside, their lives were far from flashy.
I would consider my place to be luxury compared to this, and it isn't.
Laotian Sutsida Sananikon was popular and incredibly active.
In fact, they would wander around the neighbourhood every Christmas time and give everyone in the neighbourhood a Christmas present.
They're now facing 25 Christmases behind bars. Lana Murphy, 9 News.
The Australian share market was stronger today on the back of gains made by the banks and miners. BHP hit a 7-month high, closing at nearly $51. Rio Tinto added 1%. The Australian dollar is buying around 75 US cents and 92 Japanese yen. Queenslanders are once again fighting floods, with the 150 millimetres of rain falling in and around Dalby, where the Myall Creek is tonight expected to peak at just over 3.5 metres. Meanwhile, a man died and a woman was rescued from a ute that was swept away near Toowoomba. A Florida woman's lucky to be alive after a car ploughed into her home. She was sitting on her front lawn when the vehicle's driver lost control. She's now recovering in hospital. Well, Will Smith and Chris Rock stole the spotlight, but there were other notable moments at the Academy Awards. Melbourne cinematographer Greg Fraser is the toast of Hollywood tonight for his work on the movie Dune. Mike Dalton with the details.
Sleek and shimmering elegance would be the mark of Oscar red carpet fashion this awards year. In the room, tennis's Williams sisters opening the serving.
Tonight, movie lovers across the globe will unite right here at the Oscars.
With Beyonce performing on the sisters' home courts of Compton.
Do you know how much we have cried?
Before a triumvirate of female talent took control.
This year, the Academy hired 3 women to host because it's cheaper than hiring one man.
There would be early glory for Australia in a category we could claim as our own. Melbourne's Greg Fraser taking Best Cinematographer for his work on Dune, the 7th Australian to take the honour.
Wow, listen, I'm so happy this award's up early so I can get out and get to the bar, but I will keep it short for that reason. Mum, I will return your call and I apologise.
New Zealand's Jane Campion claiming Best Director for The Power of the Dog. Best Supporting Actor winner Troy Kotsur, only the second deaf actor to win an Oscar, had the signing support of his audience for his work in the film Coda. Best Supporting Actress Ariana DeBose, the first openly gay winner of colour for West Side Story.
A openly queer woman of colour and Afro-Latina who found her strength in life through art.
And in the big 3, Jessica Chastain won Best Actress for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which unsurprisingly also won the Oscar for Best Makeup. Will Smith bookending the Williams sisters' opening appearance with Best Actor for the biographical film of their father in King Richard. But it would be the coming-of-age drama Coda, an acronym for Child of Deaf Parents, that would take Best Picture. The story of the only hearing member of a deaf family. Mike Dalton, 9 News.
And next with sport, Tony Jones.
Thanks, Pete. Hello again. Caroline Wilson will join us live shortly with the latest on the Dusty Martin situation. At the kennel, meanwhile, the Bulldogs have got their own problems. Alicia Mulling.
Tony, time is running out for Aaron Norton to be fit for Thursday night's massive clash. I'll have those details coming up after the break.
Thanks, Alicia. Also coming up tonight, in his final year of his mega contract, Buddy opens up on retirement. And why this young basketballer absolutely brought the house down. Star forward Aaron Norton is in down for what's become a must-win clash for the Bulldogs on Thursday night against the Swans. Alicia Mulling joins us live now. Alicia, when will the Dogs make that call?
Well, Tony, time isn't on Aaron Norton's side, given that the Dogs play back-to-back Thursday night games. So the club will make a call in the next 24 hours. They're hopeful that bleeding on his calf will have improved in that time. There's also a wait and see on Hayden Crozier after his heart problems last week. But in some really positive news for the Dogs, Bailey Smith is likely to return from that hip complaint for that big clash against the Swans. It's one of a number of round 3 blockbusters coming up as Collingwood hopes to continue their undefeated start to the season, but they'll face an almighty challenge in the Cats. Jack Ginnivan's GoPro antics may have caught the eye of the fun police, but today there was no missing the Pies youngster, a peroxide rinse, turning heads at Olympic Park.
I don't know what he was thinking, but I just asked him before if he was taking the piss or what, and then he actually said he was cutting it off tonight.
A suspended Braden Maynard has spent the past 2 weeks watching his side's impressive start from the sidelines.
I'm a nervous watcher. I think I got it from Mum and Dad. They're pretty crazy.
Desperate to make his mark in a new Craig McRae era.
I've missed playing the last couple of games because the boys look really good, and yeah, it's good to see, so I'm looking forward to coming back.
The Pies are flying after wins over St Kilda and Adelaide.
I've never been 2-0 in my whole career, so a bit of a fresh start for me.
But a big test comes on Saturday night against Geelong at the MCG.
They play a really good brand of footy, and generally we feel like we they kind of bring the best out of us as well in previous matches.
The Demons are also undefeated, thanks in part to the dominance of this young star.
Jackson ripped it out of the air. Action, Jackson!
Melbourne confident Luke Jackson will resist circling West Australian rivals and signal his long-term commitment to the reigning premiers.
He's someone who has a huge impact on our culture as a footy club, and to have him as a long-term Melbourne player, I think everyone in the footy club would love that, and he's got an exciting future ahead of him, and we hope that's in the red and the blue.
Alicia Mulling, 9 News.
There's a growing confidence that Dusty Martin will be back playing in a matter of weeks. That, of course, counters growing speculation that he might never play again as he deals with personal issues. Caroline Wilson's been working the phones for us. Cara, what are you hearing?
Hello, Tony. Yeah, look, I never believed the rumours that Dustin Martin was thinking of retiring. I think this was a correction that needed to happen. Dustin, as we know, has been struggling with some personal issues quite badly since December. Obviously, he lost his father. That was an enormous shock for him, a man he really relies on. And the view was just to get, I suppose, some consistency back into Dustin's life and performance. Maybe he just needed to have a break away from the club. And that is what this is. And I, as I say, never believed, nor did the club, that he was going to retire.
OK, well, that's great news for Richmond supporters and the game in general, really. Big show coming up on Classified tonight. What else you got?
Well, we'll be talking about Dustin Martin, of course. Kane Corns has got some fairly firm views about the Port Adelaide Football Club. We might have another little piece of breaking news regarding the Adelaide Football Club. So, and an arrow regarding the St Kilda Football Club. They're all in our sights tonight, Tony.
OK, good on you, Caro. Good to talk to you. Yeah, Tone. Anyway, as we reported earlier, the fan who took possession of Buddy Franklin's milestone, Sharon, today handed it back. And with that 1,000 gold milestone now out of the way, the attention is shifting as to whether Buddy will play on beyond this season. He's very much the man of the moment, but even Buddy knows that clock is ticking in terms of his career.
Oh, mate, we'll just see how it goes. Like, obviously, want to really enjoy this
last year of my contract, and then we'll weigh it up and see where we're at the end of the year.
As the season rolls on, speculation over his playing future will intensify. The conversation already making its way onto the national platform today.
Why don't you just cut to the chase and sign him for another 5?
We're only 2 games in, Carl.
If Buddy is to go around again, it won't be money that tempts him.
The premiership, yeah, that'd be lovely.
The Swans have started the season with 2 wins and are ranked just behind Melbourne and Brisbane for flag favouritism. Having won 2 flags with Hawthorn, he knows what it takes to win.
You need a little bit of luck along the way too, but if we keep doing what we're doing and keep improving and not be happy with where we're at, then anything can happen.
For the moment, Buddy is enjoying his moment in history, and if staying humble was a goal, he's achieved that also.
To kick the 1,000 goals, I couldn't have done this without being at 2 amazing footy clubs. I've been fortunate enough to play with some of the all-time great players at Hawthorn and then here at the Swans, so I feel blessed to have played with some great players that have made this possible.
The Swans meet the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium on Thursday night. Buddy can go into that match minus the weight of a milestone. F1 fans are licking their lips ahead of next week's Albert Park Grand Prix after a grandstand finish to this morning's race in Saudi Arabia. It was a game of cat and mouse between Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, with the world champ holding on by a whisker.
Such a close battle once again, and this time around, it's Max Verstappen that wins out.
But Daniel Ricciardo has his work to do ahead of his home race. He was forced to retire 35 laps in. And finally, amid the big contracts and the even bigger egos, there's the occasional reminder of what really is important in sport. 17-year-old Jules Hoogland is completely blind, and as she positioned herself for this free throw, the crowd was right behind her, the tapping of the backboard acting as her guide. Jules was born a triplet. Her sister has full sight. Her brother died at 4 weeks. And as for that crowd watching her, Jules later joked that luckily she couldn't see them. And that's what I mean. That's what sport's all about at the end of the day, Pete.
What a wonderful story. Thank you, Tony. Well, excuse me, it's time to check back with Lavinia on the first stop of her road trip. It looks like a beautiful evening in Warburton, Lavinia.
Oh, Pete, I've never met a beer garden I didn't like, but this one is something special. It is starting to get chilly, though, and under clear skies and light winds, it should get down to 10 degrees by tomorrow morning, down to 15 in Melbourne. I'll have the full Tuesday forecast right around our beautiful state next. Hello again from the first stop on this week's weather road trip, beautiful Warburton. We're exploring some regional locations a little closer to Melbourne, and Warburton is a day tripper's delight, just 90 minutes drive. And you can even grab the train to Lilydale and ride or walk the rail trail to the end of the line. If you want to stay for more than a day, the beautiful Alpine Hotel has been lovingly restored to retain its vintage appeal. And a better beer garden you'd be hard pressed to find. The beautiful town is framed by streams, rivers and forests, so it's also the perfect place to come to breathe in the fresh air and get adventurous. River sledding, mountain biking, abseiling and caving are right on the doorstep. And while the Yarra River might not be the prettiest in Melbourne, the waters are crystal clear further upstream here in the Yarra Valley. And the weather has provided the perfect start to our road trip. From a low of 10, Warburton warmed up to 28. The city reached 24, and that was after a very mild night, only dipping to 17. A trough is triggering some isolated storms over eastern districts. So far, the highest rainfall total has been 25 millimetres. Storms will continue tonight, but they should only deliver another 10 to 15. A southerly change is moving in behind that system. It reached the southwest this morning, capping maximums in the low 20s. Elsewhere, most places reach the high 20s and low 30s. Southerly winds will extend right across the state tomorrow, so it'll be a little cooler, but those breezes should help to disperse the smoke haze affecting Melbourne. A stronger system is expected to arrive Wednesday afternoon, and it'll bring colder winds and showers. Now tonight it'll be cooler across Victoria. Most places will dip to between 10 and 14 degrees. Patchy morning fog in the south will clear for a partly cloudy day. There is a chance of a light shower or two but they'll be few and far between, if anything. Maximums will generally be in the low to mid-20s. And our next stop is Warragul, and it's heading for 25 degrees. In the north, sunny skies will push temperatures up into the high 20s and low 30s. Melbourne will also be cooler tonight, but under partly cloudy skies. Most spots should climb to 22 or 23 tomorrow. Ringwood is heading for 24, 25 here at Warburton. And there's the chance of a light shower across northern suburbs. From a low of 15, the city should reach 22. Dropping back to 20 on Wednesday with a possible shower in the afternoon. There could be a light sprinkle on Thursday, and maximums are looking very consistent, 20 degrees until Saturday, and then 22 for Sunday and Monday. Now, Pete, petrol prices are at an absolute premium right now, so this week, Visit Victoria are helping us to show you places a little closer to home, but just like Warburton, they provide a total change of scenery. I'll see you tomorrow from Warragul.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Lavinia. And Melbourne, that's what's news this Monday. Tracy's next with the current affair. Enjoy your evening and good night.